Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is the BaylorIC TV boxing channel, and we're live. We're live and in color. Yep, decided this time around we're going to do from black and white to color. I've got a pretty good screen here, so the connection's pretty good. So I thought I'd do this. Apologies, I haven't been as active with the show. I should have been on the show. Did a follow up with Cotto, and I didn't, so I'm doing it now. Hell of a lot of things are going on. If you've been across Twitter or across Facebook, you'll know what's been going on. And to add to that as well, despite my commitments in Ireland, there's also commitments in America with a new radio show that I am a part of. I won't go any further. It's nothing to do with boxing, but yeah. Anyway, so had a good weekend. Miguel Cotto did. He destroyed Daniel Gill. If you saw my pre-fight prediction, I thought that if Daniel Gill wasn't weight drained, and if Daniel Gill would be able to absorb the water in his body and be able to be, you know, in a fit state to fight, then I thought that he could give Cotto a lot of problems. A lot of people believe that as well. In fact, a lot of people wanted Gill to win because of Cotto's catch weight demands. But we saw very early that the weight that Gill took off at the age that he is now was a bit too much for him. And that was my fear, as I mentioned in my prediction. I said if Gill can box and give Cotto angles, it's fine. But, you know, trying to box without the nutrients necessary within your body, and then you're not a big puncher as it is. I never said that Gill would win the fight by knockout, but I always believed that Gill could have tried and won the fight by points. You got to ask yourself the question, if Cotto was so confident, why didn't you take the fight 160 pounds? No, you had to take every advantage possible because you knew Gill was a natural 160 pounder and you're not Miguel Cotto. So we got the knockout. I did say left hook to the body, left hook to the head. Well, so I should have said left hook, headbutt, left hook, and, you know, right hand to the body, headbutt, and left hook. How much that headbutt contributed to the end knockout result, I don't know, but I do know that Gill, at a time, Cotto was finished with him. Cotto, you know, as I said before, and I've made this mistake before, I don't believe he's a genuine middleweight. I think he's a very vulnerable middleweight. The fact he's coming in fighting at light middleweight, you know, he has no business being in the middleweight division. And I think, you know, a fight with him and Canelo could happen. But the question is, will it be a middleweight or will it be a light middleweight? I would not be surprised if I were Miguel Cotto, I'd take the fight at light middleweight. But who knows what's going to happen with that. So what can I talk to you guys about? Well, and girls. Well, first of all, thank you for the support via Twitter, via Facebook. The support's been really almost overwhelming recently because, you know, once again, the increase of views and comments is just very great, and I appreciate your comments. And I said that I would deliver a few interviews, and I did. I released the Don Charles interview, and the people that watched the interview could see why I was very hesitant to let it out. Don Charles didn't say anything specifically that was, you know, earth-shattering, but it was just, you know, I kind of felt a certain way putting it out. But, you know, people need to know, the boxing world needs to know what's going on. And I heard Derek Chisol's obviously got a new team now, so I guess that interview kind of sets that up. Moving on. I was asked over and 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 over again to get Tony Bellew. I delivered Tony Bellew in the interview that you guys got to see. It was a video interview. You know, there's nothing more annoying than delivering an interview, and there's always one smart ass that says, well, you should have done it live. You should have been there. Or you get something along the lines of, it'd be nice if you didn't do it in video, you could have done it in audio. You know what? You ungrateful sods that are out there, and I'm just saying to a few of you, you ungrateful people out there that sit in your asses and just click on a YouTube button, just click the YouTube button and the interviews are there. You know, the hard work it takes to set the interviews up, to make the interviews happen. There's a huge majority of people that watch boxing and watch any sort of interviews can appreciate that, and there are very few of you that are in it for the majority. It's very sad, but you know, the interviews that were brought, obviously the interview with Peter Fury, an interview with Eddie Chambers as well, talking about the fact that he's not getting paid the money that he should be worth. Read a lot of stuff on social media, and probably social media is probably the worst place to look at things, but you see it because you're part of media, you're part of social media, and you read stuff about, well, Eddie Chambers is not good enough, Eddie Chambers is shit, you know. And because Anthony Joshua destroyed Kevin Johnson, and you know, because of that, they think because he destroyed Kevin Johnson, that Eddie Chambers is going to stand there and let Joshua knock him out. I'm not disputing the fact that Joshua could knock Eddie Chambers out, but what I'm saying is that, you know, Eddie Chambers is a very skilled heavyweight, and it's just funny how people can be. You know, the same people that will say one thing one day, we never chase them down and say, hey, you said that. Why should we take you as the voice of knowledge? Come back next week and you notice that's the thing, they said something 1 week, and if you go back, if you track people in history, quite interesting. If you track people in history, this is going off topic of it. If you track people in history, like, you'll see how they're supporters until that person is in a crunch match. And as soon as they're in a crunch match, they'll turn around and say, oh, that guy's shit, he's crap, he's rubbish. And then after the guy may have won a world title, then you'll see them, they're on Twitter, they're on Facebook, and they're all their best friend and buddy and always supporting them. And it's sickening, revolting. And I just thought I'd put that out there. But anyway, back to my point. So Eddie Chambers talking about the fact that he wants to, he's got no problems fighting Anthony Joshua. He's a professional boxer. I don't see reason why he would feel any different way. This man's fought some of the best heavyweights in the world. He fought the Vladimir Klitschko, you know, so, you know, and Eddie wants fights, but who wants to fight Eddie Chambers? Peter Fury said that Eddie Chambers was flatly declined by Team Joshua. So we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, let's talk about Dillian Whyte, a possibility for Anthony Joshua. Talk about Tony Thompson and Derek Chisora, David Price. You know, I think while we know that Anthony Joshua can punch, or why we know that he can he's a good finisher, what we don't know about him is what he's like getting hit back, what he's like against a guy that moves, what he's against a guy that can counter and throw punches back. We don't know what he can do against those sort of opponents, but we do know at this level that if you stand in front of Anthony Joshua and decide not to put any sort of resistance up or any ambition, Anthony Joshua will take you apart. We know that much. So I don't think fight fans can be excited, absolutely, but not deluded. We have to still pay attention to the fact that this guy hasn't really fought. He's done what he's meant to do at this point, which is get a nice knockout reel. But as an Olympic gold medalist, it's now time to step it up and fight decent opposition. Kevin Johnson was a star. He was a name. Unfortunately, didn't put on the performance we wanted to see. So I think you just watch the space in terms of Anthony Joshua. So what more is there to talk about? Yep, again, Tony Bellew, the interview I got with Tony Bellew was like, you know what? Again, another thing, and I have to say, I'm sick and tired of people saying, well, you know, boxing's dead, it's got no characters. But in the same breath, it's like, oh, well, that Tony Bellew is a bit of a knob, isn't he? I mean, what do you want from you? What do you want from your boxers? You know, the 1 minute the boxer's kicking off, and you're tuning onto it and you're watching YouTube and you're laughing at it, and then the next minute you turn around and slagging the same boxer off for doing that same thing. Don't get it, don't understand it. You know, you're either with a guy, you're not with a guy, you know. And one of the reasons why I interviewed Tony Bellew was because I believed that there was another side to the man. And you know, the interview was getting the interview about 2 years ago. We finally got the interview. Talks a lot about his career, his losses, very honest. open. He's not the only one that watches Sky Sports and turns the volume down. And he was very diplomatic, I think. I think he wanted to probably punch one or two people in Sky Studios for their shocking commentary. But there you go. He also talked about the fact of not wanting to go to Russia or Germany to fight Marco Huck. But the comment again against social media was, "Who the hell is Bellew to tell Huck where to fight?" You know, I guess they've got some valid point. Huck making God knows how many defenses of the cruiserweight title. Bellew obviously doesn't want to go to Germany to fight. But I guess it's the case of getting one of the cruiserweight champions to come and fight in the UK. Okay, can that happen? Don't know. And out of the top cruiserweights at the moment, which cruiserweight do you think Tony Bellew's got the best chance against? You know, the one thing Tony Bellew has got is a punch. He's got a puncher's chance, and that lad can box. He's got a lot of big heart, and for as long as it lasts, he's in there. He's in with a fight. He also talks about his defeat to Adonis Stevenson. Gave some very inside information about Adonis Stevenson. The sort of information you don't get as a blogger, you don't get as a commentator. You only get that sort of insight if you're a fighter. So it was very interesting to hear Tony Bellew's views on that. Obviously talked also about his role in the upcoming movie Creed, which is a spin-off of the Rocky movies from the man Apollo Creed, one of Rocky's opponents. So that's going to be interesting to see him in that. What more is there to talk about? King Khan, once again in the news, talking about the fact he doesn't want to fight our friend Kell Brook. Now you see, there's a problem with this, because Amir Khan throughout his career has been one who's not been scared to fight anybody. I think he knows, as much as everybody else in the world knows, there's a reason why he didn't want to fight Kell Brook. And all you have to do is look at the Chris Algieri fight. Chris Algieri switched it up. As I said in my post-fight video, switched it up and took the attack to Amir Khan, and was able to hit and hurt and rock Khan in the first round with the right hand. And Amir Khan had no sort of way of dealing with a right hand. And this is an Olympic gold medalist, Olympic silver medalist, sorry, not gold medalist. He was beaten by Kinderland in the Olympics, but a silver medalist. This is a silver medalist. This is a former two-time world champion with almost, I think at one point, almost I think classed as the undisputed light welterweight champion of the world. If not undisputed, he was the #1 at one point in the light welterweight division. If you look at that compared to Chris Algieri, who's a former kickboxer and yes, WBO champion, but beat a very limited, I can't remember the guys again. Got brain freeze, but the guy he beat, I can't remember his Povetkin, not Povetkin, Provodnikov. See, brain freeze, tired. Provodnikov, yes. So you know, by him outboxing Provodnikov, got him the world title. But let's be honest, Provodnikov is no boxing master, and for Algieri to be able to back Amir Khan up, and at times, look, Amir Khan looked like he was running from Chris Algieri. Did not look impressive. Was a bit concerning for me. The amount of times Khan got hit was concerning, and then he's got the nerve to sit down afterwards and do interviews and blatantly, flat out say, I'm not interested in Kell Brook. Yet Kell Brook is the IBF welterweight champion of the world. And if he's so easy to beat, why not beat Kell Brook and be IBF champion and just say, you know what, I'm done with you. I've done with Britain. I've got the world championship. I've dusted up with Kell Brook, and that would be that. But no, people are going to keep on going about Kell Brook. People are going to keep talking about Kell Brook because Khan, you're not facing him. And you know, his fans don't do him any favors whatsoever, because they must be some of the most deluded fans in the world. Yeah, I said it. Khan fans are deluded. If you cannot just look and see, look, You know what? You can defend your man to the cows come home. But if you can't admit that your man does not want to fight Kell Brook because he sees he is a legitimate threat, you know, the one thing Kell Brook has got is a meaningful looking right hand. And it's very concerning that Khan, of all the achievements he's made in his career, doesn't want to take on Kell Brook and beat Kell Brook. He knows something that we all know as well, is that around his chin he's a bit shaky. And if you're getting shaken up, and the other thing that Khan supporters need to be concerned about, and I say concerned about, is that he didn't drop Algieri once. This is the same Chris Algieri that got dropped 5 or 6 times by Manny Pacquiao. So either Amir Khan is a very weak puncher, Algieri's got a great chin, or Khan isn't all that he's cracked up to be. You know, and I don't think Amir Khan in that fight looked great. And then he's afterwards made complaints. He said, oh, well, you know, I overtrained for the fight and not giving Algieri the credit he deserves. You know what? Then he's talking about Keith Thurman. Okay, so you want to fight Keith Thurman? Let me work this out a second. Keith Thurman, WBA welterweight champion. Keith Thurman has knocked down every opponent he has fought, bar Savage. Now I know for a fact, I don't need only tell me this. Not if, it's when Keith Thurman lands on Amir Khan's chin, and Amir Khan's no defensive wizard. When he gets hit on that chin, and Algieri is rocking him, it don't look good. Why do you want to fight Keith Thurman? Why do you want to fight? What are you gaining fighting Keith Thurman? You're the WBA title. No, but the WBA title that Keith Thurman's got is the regular championship? The regular championship? Where Mayweather's got the real super championship, and everyone recognizes Mayweather's got that belt. So why would you do that when you can fight for a legitimate IBF belt? Don't get it. Okay, let me check and see who's in the house tonight, because I've been talking for a while and I just want to check and see who is around. So give me a minute, please. I suspect this Amir Khan. I'd be surprised if the fight even happens. One other fight that is brewing, I can see happening, is Kell Brook against Brandon Rios. Say around, last time I heard, it was going to be sometime in September. It's good that Brook is fighting again. He's going to have a good opponent in Brandon Rios. I don't know how well Brandon Rios will do against Kell Brook. I mean, he's a limited fighter. He'll bring the fight for sure. He'll bring the fight, but I can't honestly say that I've got great expectations of the fight with Brandon Rios. You know, let me just see if I can get this link, see who's in the room. Here we go. We've got people in the room. Good evening, all. Good evening, Chris Golding. How are you doing? Guys, as far as Eddie Chambers is concerned, always humble, works hard in the gym, good record, deserves a shot. Of course. One last off topic. Glad the cricket project is going well. Thank you very much, Chris Golding. Chris Golding says, if they were talking about World Championship, Kevin Johnson would have all the belts. Yeah, that's very true. If it was talking World Championships, Kevin Johnson would be the undisputed, undefeated, pound for pound, #1, the greatest talker of all time. Matthew Wall says, good evening, Matthew. He does great work, Ingram. You're putting a lot of hard work in at the moment. He's appreciated by the boxing fans. Thank you very much, Matthew. It's nice to hear it. Matthew Wall says, I agree about Khan. People talk about how Virgil Khan seems to regress under Hunter's tutelage. No. See, when Khan started his career, he was I think he should have had a boxing trainer that would give him a holistic 360 approach to boxing. But with Amir Khan, what I noticed was that he had a very attack amateur style going forward. So he never learned like the fundamentals in terms of having an inside game and stuff like that. So I think that when he fought with, what did he have first? He had that Oliver guy. He had him as a trainer. He got knocked out he got spot by Prescott. Then he went to attack trainer, which is Roach, but teaches no defense. Now he's trying to learn later in his career by Hunter how to fight on the inside. I wouldn't say, I'm not sure if Khan's regressed. I don't think he's regressed. I think Khan is just, I don't think Khan gets any better. He doesn't get any better. So when you expect to see more of Khan, you're just seeing what he is now. I don't think anything changes. He still comes out throwing fast punches. He still leaves his chin open to getting caught. He still, you know, starts dropping his hands from rounds 5 to 6. He's still got that chin. Khan fights the same in every fight. I don't think Khan fights different than any other fights. Khan is best when he can stick to a game plan and not engage walls. Thurman will knock him into next week. Yeah, I hope he does fight Thurman, to be honest. Bad he should go for Khan. I agree. I'm not a Khan hater, but the one I really want to see is Thurman versus Brook. Wow, that's a fight. Keith Thurman himself has told me since, you know, it's amazing with Keith Thurman. I started talking to Keith Thurman when I was back in Grenada. That was back in late 2012, early 2013. When I first wanted to get to know Keith Thurman, he's saying, you know what? I ain't seen so much about Kell Brook. Ain't fought nobody. Now then he fought his good friend and former teammate Sean Porter. Brook beats Sean Porter, and before Brook fought Porter, Keith confronted him and said, you know what, we need to get our fight on. And then the next minute, now Keith's turned around and said, you know what, I've got a lot of respect for Kell Brook, and he's probably my toughest fight in the welterweight division. That's what Keith Thurman's saying. So you can see there's been a respect level that's been gained from Keith Thurman regarding Kell Brook. So that's very interesting there. Chris Golden says next summer be a good time for that one. It would be the 147 supremacy. Maybe so. Maybe so. Brook will have to get past Brandon Rios, and Thurman get past Collazo. And in boxing, you never know. You never know. You think that something's going to happen. You think it's all going smoothly, and this should happen and that should happen. But then you might have talked about it. But what do you think of Wilder Molina? I didn't talk about it. What can I talk about? Wilder Molina. I think Wilder's going to destroy Molina. If he doesn't get hit on the chops, he's going to destroy Molina inside 3 rounds. He might even put a showcase on because he's in his hometown, Alabama. I think it's good as well. I think in some cases it's good because the world heavyweight champion is getting a chance to defend his title at home. You don't know how long he's going to hold that title onto that title, Wilder. So they're doing what they have to with him. But you know what? People will say, you know, Wilder's doing okay, and he'll knock Molina out. And that's what people want to see. People want to see brutal knockouts, let's be honest, in the heavyweight division. But like I said, it's a bit difficult to take Wilder seriously. Had he beat Stavern and then fought somebody else in and around the top 10, would be nice to see. But it'll be interesting to see who Wilder fights after he beats Molina. I think the fans would accept one gimme, but only one. Wilder stop him inside 4 rounds, then a more interesting opponent. Yeah, I agree with that. While Hayman fighters are overprotected, are they? Really, Matthew? You really think they're overprotected? Bear in mind that, you know, we've had Garcia, Peterson, Andy Lee, and Quillen. That was quite a good bill, actually. Porter and Broner. So there's some good fights coming up. Some good fights. I don't think Wilder is that bad, but certainly number 4 at least, behind Fury, Vlad, and Povetkin. That's my top 4 exactly, Chris, except I would have Povetkin ahead of Fury at the moment. I don't know, guys. I'm not sure, guys, because you just had Bryant Jennings. I know people say, oh, well, you're backing Bryant Jennings because it's your mate. No, If you look at Brian Jennings, and he just fought Vladimir Klitschko, and Vladimir Klitschko, he's just fought the heavyweight champion of the world, the #1 fighter in the world, and went 12 rounds with him, and proper decent fight against him. Then you look at the top three. Let's look at them. Povetkin got beat, dropped on numerous occasions by Povetkin, by Klitschko. Povetkin got dropped 3 or 4 times. Fury hasn't fought anybody in the top 10. He's now going to fight Vladimir. I mean, seriously, he's now going to fight Klitschko. So Wilder has just fought Stavern, which is good. So you can get Wilder. So Wilder has fought somebody in the top 10. Who has Jennings beat? Well, he beat Spilka. He beat Mike Perez. But bear in mind, you say who's he beat? He's fought Vladimir Klitschko. If you're gonna say who's he beat, then you could say the same thing for Fury. You could say the same thing for Wilder. Wilder just beat Stavern. But then somebody will say, who's Stavern beat? Areola. But then if you ask Areola, who did Areola beat? So really, if you ask Fury, who's Fury's best name on his record, you would say Chisora or Kevin Johnson. But you look at Kevin Johnson now, well, maybe Kevin Johnson, Steve Cunningham. So if you're going to put Fury up there, then, you know, Jennings is going to be thereabouts. At least this guy's actually fought the heavyweight champion. We have to see how Fury does against Klitschko now. Whether he beats Klitschko, he gets beat by Klitschko, how he performs against him. So I thought Perez beat him had him up by around. Okay, fine, you know. But Perez was, if you look at Perez before that fight, Perez, yeah, and he beat Federos as well. Good evening, Bruce Wayne. If you look at Jennings' record and the guys Jennings has fought, if you look at the guys Jennings has fought, I think he's fought some good, credible guys. He fought Perez, was unbeaten. Federos was a big puncher. He fought Spilka, was unbeaten. So I mean, he's fought some decent guys. So I don't think Jennings. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Jennings. But I want to know how many heavyweights in the world, because a lot of people were shooting and saying Pulev, even myself, was the most dangerous heavyweight. Thompson got knocked out by Klitschko. Pulev got knocked out by Klitschko. Povetkin got dropped on numerous occasions by Klitschko. Jennings went 12 rounds and took his best punches. So, you know, for guys to dismiss Jennings like that, I find it's interesting. Very, very interesting. I think Jennings is a very decent fighter. I would have him in my top 5 without a shadow of doubt. I wouldn't think twice about it. You know, you have to see how would Wilder do against Klitschko? How does Fury do against Klitschko? And we know how Povetkin did against Klitschko. So there's your top 4. How do they all do against Klitschko? That's how you go. That's how I rate my top 4. How have they done against a champion? I notice nobody's mentioned Pulev, but Pulev came and had some good wins. He beat Tony Thompson. Even Tony Thompson got knocked out by Klitschko. Eddie Chambers got knocked out by Klitschko. So I still believe that Jennings is one of the best heavyweights in the world. And then look at okay, would Wilder fought Perez? I'm just asking. You know, I don't know. I just think that there's I think he's still one of the best heavyweights in the world, and he fought the legitimate #1 heavyweight in the world who hasn't been beaten in the last 10 years. So let's bear that in mind. Stavern versus Jennings, I could see that fight actually happening. I could see it happening. Very good fight. Let's see what Mr. Stavern has got left. We got to know BY through BaylorIC. It would be nice to follow his journey over the next couple of years. It would be very nice. Yeah, we're going to keep staying close to him. And you know, the last 3 heavyweight title fights, you've seen me. We've talked to Wilder. You've had inside information from Bermain Stavern's camp. You've had inside information from BY's camp. And now Fury's going to be challenged for their heavyweight championship of the world. You'll get inside information on that as well. So thank you very much, guys. It's good stuff. I like being in there and getting all the information. So where were we? Yeah, so we've talked about the heavyweight division briefly. We've touched on that. Sooner rather than later, I'm sure there's going to be an announcement about Fury and Klitschko. And then the serious business, I mean, you know, I've asked Peter Fury till the cows come home all the questions about preparation for Klitschko. So I guess you can't do anymore. Check out the interview I did with James Ali Bashir. That's another breaking news story. Bashir thinks the fight's a 50-55 between Klitschko and Fury. And the key element, I mentioned this before, I stressed this out and I keep stressing this out, and people keep looking at me like I'm a complete idiot. But you've got to look at the corner, Jonathan Banks. If you go back and look at the fight against Jennings, you go back and look at that fight, what was Banks telling Klitschko to do? And Klitschko, like a robot, did just as Banks told him to do, box. And I said, you'll hear me, I've said it on numerous occasions now, I believe if Klitschko had pressed the issue more against Jennings, he may have stopped Jennings. And I like Jennings, but he may have stopped Jennings, because Jennings is a very inexperienced fighter. And again, I want to go back to this point about inexperienced, because coming into the fight, Jennings versus Klitschko, and I don't want to keep going about this fight, but coming into the fight, people were saying, oh my God, Jennings is inexperienced. But okay, Tyson Fury now fights Vladimir Klitschko. What experience does Tyson Fury bring to the table? This is a question. What experience does Tyson? What world-class big man has Tyson Fury beaten? We know he's beaten small guys, but what world-class, top-notch, tall fighters has Fury beaten? This is the question. And so if you're going to say Fury being experienced against tall guys, no. Against shorter guys, yeah. So we'll see. It's an intriguing fight. I'm sure it's going to get announced sooner rather than later. So Bashir saying, back to James Ali Bashir, the respected trainer or assistant trainer, who I think should be the trainer of Klitschko. And had he been in the corner that night, I think we'd have seen a different Vladimir Klitschko. I don't know what Banks' methodology was that night, but he was telling Klitschko to box against a man who has only been boxing, 4 or 5 years, in Bryant Jennings, with a very limited amateur background. You know, there was no time he never said, you know what, close the range down, stop Jennings from moving, get him on the ropes and take it to him. Manuel Stewart would have told him, take it to him. Bashir would have said, take it to him. You just won a big fight against Tyson Fury now, a guy who's going to be taller, who may have as much reach or longer reach. What will Banks be telling Klitschko? And if there's any problems in the camp, how do they respond? These are questions that will get answered sooner rather than later. Matthew Wall says, Vladimir is on the slide and Banks is an awful trainer. I think Banks is the greatest trainer in the world. Vladimir Klitschko on the slide. Is Vladimir Klitschko on the slide, or is Bryant Jennings better than a lot of people gave him credit for? You know how we'll find out? It's in Jennings' next fight. I think Jennings is a lot better than a lot of people gave him credit for, and gave Klitschko a harder fight. And one of the reasons why I think he gave Klitschko a harder fight is because he wasn't a previous sparring partner. You know, so that was, I think, something's key about that as well. Let's hear what Matthew's saying. Fury is too versatile. Unless he gets chinned early, I expect him to wear Vladimir down. Fury comes down to temperament. If Peter Fury can keep him calm and focused, he stands a very good chance. I agree, but I haven't seen him lose his cool with Peter in his corner. He did it with Cunningham, but Pete wasn't in the country. I know a lot of people are talking about that, but the one thing Peter Fury can't do is stop that right hand connecting on Tyson's chin. That's the one thing Peter Fury can't do. He can give Tyson all the tactics in the world. He can teach him to do this and to do that and to do the other. But Vladimir Klitschko is the biggest puncher that Tyson Fury has fought in his career, bar none. And history tells us Fury's been hit by Cunningham, he's been hit by Pajcek, and he's gone down. However, Peter Fury assures me that Tyson's chin will be up for the challenge on the night. All you have to see is believing. You know, if you can take the shots that Klitschko lands, if you can take the shots, absorb the punishment, and come back, then he's got a great chance. But It's how much he takes, and has he got? Yes, he's got versatility, but has he got the versatility against a world-class fighter? You can be versatile. You can be versatile against has-beens and never was, and contenders and pretenders. To do it against the best in the world, that he wasn't hurt though. Ingram, his legs were strong. He wasn't hurt, but he's getting dropped by Cunningham. That's my point. 210 pounds. Klitschko will look at that, and that will give Klitschko a lot of encouragement, to put it this way. He squared up. Both times he got knocked down was because he was clowning. So I think Tyson's more of a mature man now, but you know, we still have to bear in mind that right hand of Klitschko. You know, that's for me, and that left hook. Those are punches that are key. And you know, the Fury technique. How does it match up against his? How does he do against a top quality fighter? Nevertheless, I've seen Vladimir destroy people with excellent chin, so we never know. There we go. I think that his aborted hay camp was in Belgium. Banners, man. He says he has stopped going to France though, hasn't he? I don't know. I have no idea. I did mention to Peter Fury as well the possibility of him sparring with David Price to prepare for Klitschko. That'd be interesting. I'd love to see the sparring session of that. Price versus Fury. That'd be a great sparring session. I'd love to see that sparring session. That'd be amazing. Yeah, but Peter Fury also admitted that they have to be 100% on the ball. 100%. But off topic, do you see Hay coming back? Money in the Bank. Does he need it anymore? Come back to do what? I mean, all those years he's out of the game now. He's going to come back. He's going to have to take some warm-up fights. Nobody knows what Hay looks like anymore. Now, the thing is, was he knocked out in sparring by Deontay Wilder? Because that's where all sort of came crashing down. You know, and since then we haven't seen Hay anywhere near a ring. So I don't know. I hope so, Chris. I don't like him as a person. He ran a mouth from Fury, but he's so talented. Is he? I mean, you know, again, and another thing is those guys that were talk about Jennings, you know, if you brought Hay back, where would you put him in the top 5? I mean, think about it. I think again, Jennings did better than Hay did. He was able to get inside and land punches. So Liam McCall, good evening, Liam. How are you? Hope you're well. Wouldn't look too much into the Cunningham knockdown. It's like Ali getting dropped by Henry Cooper. Fury underestimated Cunningham and got caught off balance. Doubt he'd make the same mistake again. He better not make the same mistake again, because it's curtains. Yeah, so let's move on. Sean Porter against Adrian Broner. Now, this is an interesting fight because it's a catchweight fight. Had this fight had been a general, had this fight been a welterweight matchup, I would have gone with Porter. Now, Porter, from what I heard, used to fight as a middleweight, and he's coming down to welterweight. So Broner's going to try and drain Porter right down to his light well, this almost, I don't know, catchweight welterweight. And I'm just so angry. So angry. Because Porter does what he does, and he's boiling himself down to make welterweight. It's a battle for him to make welterweight, that's for sure. So now he's going to try and come down a few pounds less. So there are things you've got to ask yourself, and many questions. Question number 1 is, can he fight that pace for 12 rounds? 1, at this new weight limit that he's at, catchweight. Number 2, what's his punch power like? Number 3, what's his punch resistance like? What is Porter's punch resistance like? I mean, he may start off like a rocket, Porter. But, you know, if the Maidana fight is anything to go by, Maidana put such pressure on Broner, he didn't know what to do. It was only when Maidana started slowing down is when Broner actually started getting punches off. I think the weight limit's a big problem in this fight. I really do. I think if the weight wasn't an issue, I think Porter would would destroy Broner. Honestly, would destroy Broner. But now again with like the Gil fight with Cotto, I think I'm going to make a statement here, and a lot of fans aren't like it. I think fight fans are being cheated of real fights, and here's my point. You had Gil Cotto, catchweight. You had Peterson Garcia, catchweight. And when you have catchweight fights, you've got one fighter who's got a legitimately better advantage than another fighter. Catchweight means that one guy wants every advantage possible against another guy, right? Which means he can't make the weight or he's got concerns about the weight. I don't think those guys are actually be fighting in those weight categories. If they can't make the weight, then they should not fight. That's why back in the days when you have welterweight, middleweight, heavyweight, those days, featherweight, you had to make those weight divisions. There was no damn catchweight back then. Do you mean you look at people like Sugar Ray Robinson? You know, no damn catchweight. There's 4, and it's just so annoying. And fight fans are being robbed of good fights because you're now seeing guys. Because even when you're making a prediction, you can't make a prediction based on what. Sorry, hold on a second. I think Porter might have to chop off one of his legs to make weight. Jokers. Yeah. So you're basically seeing guys coming on the weight scale on the scales looking like Skeletor. So you're not getting the full true version of a fighter. Like, for example, let me give you an example here, yeah? Imagine Mike Tyson. You know, he wasn't a big heavyweight. Imagine Mike Tyson fighting David Haye at cruiserweight, right? And David Haye blows Tyson away in a round. What are you going to tell me? Are you going to sit there and tell me, yeah, Haye was a great fighter? I mean, I don't see point in catchweight, and I'm going to have to do a separate video on it. Catchweight, I'm sorry. You either fight the down weight, or you vacate your title. I don't mind. A catchweight isn't bad if you're trying to do a mythical matchup. Let's say like Roy Jones versus Oscar De La Hoya. Yeah, that I understand a catchweight. That's cool. I can see that. You know, because one guy's significantly bigger than the other. That I understand. And it's for a fantasy matchup match. Yes, that's fine. No problems with that. But when you're talking about catchweight for a world title, that world title was won at the middleweight division. Cotto, Gil, I'm giving an example here. So if you are 160 pound, or you won the fight as 160 pound, and then you're taking the same weight and then fighting at 152 pound, that no longer is a middleweight title fight. To me, that's a light middleweight fight. So therefore, your title, that's 160 pound title, should not be validated. That should not be validated at all. It should not even be a fight. So really, Gil's defeat that he had against Cotto for the world title was not legit. So that's my concerns about that. So I'm not happy about that at all. Really not happy. So, okay. Well, fight fans, it's 7:30 and I'm going to have to go because I've got a real tight schedule tonight. But I'll continue doing some videos and predictions as well. Thank you so much for your support. Really appreciate it. Tight for time at the moment. Love you all, and keep watching the boxing. Keep watching the channel, and I'll get more videos out for you and keep you updated. Gotta go. Take care, guys. Thanks a lot.